Happy ADCC weekend, guys. It's Alex here. And in case you didn't want to watch the whole bracket reveal show where they list out every single division's bracket, I will give you a quick rundown of everything I saw tonight. First of all, let's start out with the light females under 60 kg. First of all, Bia Mesquita of Atos is the reigning champion. She is going to be taking on, in the very first round, Julia Maley, and she is the winner of the European trials. Super interesting because on the opposite side of the bracket is Ffion Davies, and she's going to be taking on Team USA's Adele Fornarino. And Adele Fornarino is coming out of Asia in the Oceania trials as the winner there. Then you have Elvira Karppinen versus Brianna Stay-Marie, which I'm super excited that this is how the brackets are coming out, because we could still potentially get that Ffion Davies versus Brianna Stay-Marie, but it'll just have to be in the championship. And then we also have Bia Mesquita taking on another Brazilian, Maisa Bastos. So that's going to be a Brazilian showdown. The female GOAT has a lot to redeem herself against, and she'll have a big battle against Ffion Davies, assuming they both make it to the semifinals. So a lot to unpack there. Then we move to the 60 kg and over women's. So the female heavyweights, Gabi Garcia, reigning champion. She's going to be taking on America's Nikki Lloyd-Griffiths. Now, Nikki is coming off of the trials in Asia and Oceania trials as the winner there. So fun matchup there. And you have two Americans going up against each other, Amy Campo and Elizabeth Clay. And on the opposite side of the bracket, the girl that Matt Scaff stood by saying Rafaela Guedes from Atos is the real deal. She could be the dark horse in this division. She'll be taking on Eleftheria Christodoulou. So very complicated last name there. And then Kendall Rusing taking on Giovanna Jara of Brazil. Kendall Rusing coming out of Orange County. She trains at Gracie Baja, but has been doing a lot of work at 10th Planet Oceanside and some different work at the judo places there. So very fun stuff going on in the women's divisions. Again, hope they get an even lighter division for the women someday. But now we move on to the 66 kilograms males. So this is a stacked ass bracket, and I'm super excited that we're going to get Gary Tonin facing Sam McNally, Josh Cisneros, who had that nasty knee bar against Gianni Grippo. Josh Cisneros is also Filipino, so I'll be low-key a little bit biased rooting for him. He'll be taking on the Canadian Ethan Crelinsten. And then the dark horse that everyone loves rooting for because he's the young guy, the guy who won the East Coast or West Coast trials. It is Cole Abate. And yes, first North American trials winner. So I think he won the East Coast, and then Keith Krikorian is the one who won the West Coast. Cole Abate will be taking on Fabricio Andre, and Keith Krikorian, the winner of the West Coast trials, is going to be taking on Brazil's Diego Oliveira. Keith, Cole Abate, both on separate sides of the bracket, so we could see another showdown there. And we could also see some 10th Planet on 10th Planet action with Gio Martinez possibly advancing to the semifinals and meeting Keith Krikorian. That is if Gio can get past Brazil's Kennedy Maciel. And then we have AJ Agazarm, who is invited, taking on Jeremy Skinner, and Gabriel Sousa taking on Ruan Alvarenga of Brazil. So very fun stuff there. Obviously, very excited to see Gary Tonin be on the opposite side of so many killers. He is on the opposite bracket of Gio Martinez, Keith Krikorian, Diego Oliveira, AJ Agazarm. So it's just going to be so fun to see what Gary Tonin does moving down in weight. He is the bronze medalist of the 77 kg division in 2019. So he has a lot of experience, and there's a lot of new guys in this division because the winner of last year, the reigning champion, retired. So a lot of time and opportunity to make your name in minus 66 kg. And then we're going to move on to 77 kg. I think the bracket was executed perfectly here because we get the reigning defending champion JT Torres taking on Kenta Iwamoto. So, all right, cool matchup there. What gets even cooler is if PJ Barch of 10 Planet San Diego beats Tawny Lankbaker, we could get some wrestler action with JT Torres and PJ Barch. I think that'll be an absolute barn burner in the semifinals, and I think PJ takes it. I think there would be an upset. Reigning champion doesn't make it to the semifinals, like that would be fucking crazy. Then we have Cade Rotolo taking on Lachlan Giles. And Lachlan Giles comes from Absolute MMA. He was invited. Cade Rotolo obviously was the first North American trials winner and represents Atos. His brother beat PJ Barch a little bit ago, so I think it would be cool if they ended up meeting, so it could kind of be some brother redemption there. And then on the same side bracket still is Roberto Jimenez taking on Andy Varela. I like the way this is set up just because we could potentially get Cade Rotolo against the very funky and, I guess, sporadic Andy Varela. But he's going to have to get past a tough Roberto Jimenez. And Roberto Jimenez is coming out of the second South American trials as the first place winner. So he is coming in with a lot of confidence and momentum. And then on the opposite side of the bracket, we have Dante Leon representing Canada and Majid Haj. So they're going to battle it out and see if they can make it to the semifinals to face William Tackett or Matthias. And I'm not going to try to pronounce that last name right now, but William Tackett was the winner of the West Coast trials. He beat out of the second North American trials. He beat out PJ, he beat out Andy. And I think it's cool because Andy and PJ are both on the opposite bracket. So no matter what, we could see one of them potentially face William Tackett again in the, I think it would be the semifinals. So that is very fun stuff there. And of course, everyone's standing behind the recent IBJJF champion, the youngest to ever do it, Mika Galvao. He is going to be taking on Oliver Taza. And Oliver Taza is of New Wave Jiu-Jitsu. So everyone wants to see what those guys are about on the biggest stage with the biggest production. Oliver Taza was the European trials winner, and he's going to have his hands full with Mika Galvao, who a lot of people are putting as the favorite. And then of course you have Gordon Ryan's little brother, Nicky Ryan of B Team, taking on Renato Canuto. That'll be a very fun one to see who can advance in that one. And the winner of that would have a very tough match in Mika Galvao next, unless Mika gets upset and Oliver beats them. So that wraps up the 77 and under kg division. Very fun stuff there. And we move on to 88. 88 division, the returning champion is Matthias Dinas of Alliance, and he is going to be taking on Roberto Deeb Frias. So very cool stuff there. That is on the left side of the bracket. Then we have Giancarlo of Team USA taking on Brazilians Isaac Bahines. And Giancarlo Bodoni is a New Wave Jiu-Jitsu practitioner, and he won the first North American trials. Then you have Isaac. The graphic is super small, guys, so I'm sorry if you can't read it. I will do the best to read it for you. But Isaac Bahines of Dream Art, he is the first South American trials winner. So 2 trials winners going up against each other. Which I think is cool because sometimes it's fun to see trial winners go against each other rather than trial winner versus invited. I think that makes things a little bit more spicy, mixing it up. And then Zande Ribeiro of Brazil taking on Owen O'Flanagan, the first European trials winner. And Zand was invited. He is a Six Blades representative. Mason Fowler versus Alexander de Jesus will be a fun matchup there, and whoever gets past to the next round will have a lot to handle on the right side of the bracket. Kind of surprised they went the route of Tyro Tolo versus Josh Hinger, just because they're both from Atos, and I follow Josh Hinger on Instagram, and I remember him joking around about being like checking out the competition, and it was Ty and them practicing. So that's too bad that Atos is going to have to get rid of one of their stars so soon, but a lot of people have been saying that it's between Lucas Hulk Barbosa of Atos and Ty Rotolo. So I think that is just the way it has to go. You got to get rid of them. Got to get rid of them one by one sometimes. And then Lucas Barbosa is taking on Santori Elias, and whoever advances to that will have to face the winner of Ty or Josh Hinger. Wagner Rocha is going to be taking on Isaac Mitchell. And then the final matchup is Pedro Marino versus Jay Rodriguez. So Pedro Marino is invited from Gracie Baja. And as you guys all know, J Rod is a blue belt from B Team that won the West Coast Trials in astounding, colorful fashion. He is obviously not the favorite going in just because he's a blue belt, but hey, his brother was a black belt slayer in 2019, so maybe he can follow in his footsteps. Very fun stuff at 88 kg. And then we get to the bigger boys, 99 kg. Very fun stuff. Rafael Lovato got a big cheer from the crowd because he is just a very likable guy. So let me pull that up. Okay. So 99 kg and less, the division that Gordon Ryan left to take on heavyweight, but he was the reigning champion of it this past year, or in 2019. So now it is wide open. The first matchup we have is Kenan Duarte versus Owen Livesey. Then you have Patrick Guaggio versus Elder Cruz, who was invited from Checknat. Rafael Lovato Jr., who just retired at IBJJF from Gi. He has made a couple of ADCC appearances, but has not won. I'm going to have to fact check that, but I'm pretty sure he has not won ADCC before, and he's going to be taking on the European Trials winner in Pertu Teponen. We're going to have from Alliance, Vinicius Traitor Ferreira versus the second American Trials winner, Paul Ardila Ibarra. And then Craig Jones got a standing ovation from the crowd. He's going to be taking on the first South American Trials winner in João Costa of Fight Sports. Fight Sports has a lot of beasts in there. Mika Galvao trains there, Cyborg. So I'm sure Craig Jones is going to have a run for his money, but I think it could be Craig Jones's year. We'll see. And then we have Devontae Johnson of Unity representing Team USA, taking on the second North American Trials winner in Kyle Boehm of 10th Planet. A great wrestler, great leg locks. So Kyle Boehm should do pretty well in this matchup. Then you have two-time ADCC champ Yuri Simones of Braza versus Luke Griffith, a new wave guy. And for the final matchup, Nicholas Marigali of Dream Art versus second South American Trials winner Henrique Ciccone. And then finally, our heavyweight matchups. Gordon Ryan is going to be taking on the first European Trials winner, Heikki Jusila. And Victor Hugo is going to be taking on the second European Trials winner, Dan Manasu of New Wave. And then, still on the left side of the bracket, Roberto Cyborg Abreu of Fight Sports taking on Hassan Raida of Assembly Jiu-Jitsu. And the first South American Trials winner, Roosevelt Sousa of Fight Sports, taking on Zhao Hosha. Felipe Pena versus Josh Saunders. Orlando Sanchez versus Max Jimenez. And I think it would be fun, since Orlando and Gordon are on opposite sides of the bracket, if Gordon did beat Orlando, because he could add Orlando to list of ADC champs he has beaten before. Just to add another accolade to this unprecedented feat he is about to step into come Saturday and Sunday. And Nicky Rod taking on the invited Damon Ramos of Henzo Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. And finally, Vinny Magalhaes is a 10th Planet representative taking on the first North American Trials winner, John Hansen. A lot of stuff going on. I hope this made it easier for you so you didn't have to watch the whole bracket reveal on Flow Grappling. Super excited for tomorrow. Tell me which matchup you are most excited for. I think the division I'm most excited for is 77 kg, but and also minus 60 kg for the ladies. Have a great rest of your night, guys. I'll keep you updated on my Twitter.